Hey, what is up you guys, GLISKEY here, and today we are doing another weather guide. This time we're doing hail, and just like last time we have our starters, which is start the weather condition. This time it's hail. We have our leads, megas, physical sweepers, which are pretty much physical attackers, special sweepers, which are our special attackers, and stallers, which are our tanky Pokemon. If you're looking for one specific type of Pokemon, there are timestamps in the description. Say you want to find a special sweeper, you click the timestamp and it will go right to just before Golduck starts. So that's an easy way to get through this. So let's get started with hail starters. Just like with Sandstorm, we got a new Pokemon that has the weather condition starting ability, which is Alolan Ninetales. If a weather starter has an icy rock, or at least a snow warning Pokemon has an icy rock, the hail will go for 8 turns. And be prepared for me to keep saying Sandstorm because I'm so used to saying Sandstorm, but we're talking about hail. So icy rock makes hail go for 8 turns. It's very good to have 2 of these Pokemon. Personally, I suggest Alolan Ninetales and Aurorus, just because one has high special attack and one has high speed, so you can maybe deal a few hits between the 2 of them, give one of them an icy rock, you got a good hail, and the other one maybe give a focus sash just so they can survive at least 1 or 2 turns. So yeah, these are the starters. Pretty much it might depend on what you need for type coverage as well, because there's grass, ice, rock, ice, and ice fairy. Ice fairy's quite good if they have a Garchomp. Very, very good counter for Garchomp. Pretty much any of these are, just because of the ice type. Next we have leads. These are Pokemon that go out before your Sandstorm starter if you want. These 3 here definitely go before your Sandstorm starter. We used them in the Sandstorm guide, now we're using them here again, just because they are very effective in what they do. If you're going to use one of these ones before your Sandstorm, I suggest either Klefki or Nihilego. Pretty much Ferrothorn is very slow, so you don't really get out your setups, but with Klefki's Prankster you get out Spikes and Thunder Wave first pretty much, and Nihilego has insane speed. But back to Frostlass and Forretress. These 2 Pokemon aren't affected by hail. Frostlass because it's ice type, and Forretress because of Overcoat. Pokemon is immune to powder moves and damage from Sandstorm or hail. These are very good setups. I suggest Frostlass if you're going to go after your hail starter, and you can also do before, because it does do spikes. You can get 1 layer of spikes and then a Destiny Bond, or if you're lucky you can get 2 or 3 layers of spikes. But Destiny Bond is a sure thing that you're gonna get rid of the Pokemon that faints Frostlass, just because Destiny Bond, if opponent knocked out by the user, it also faints, so it's very good. And Forretress's low speed kind of doesn't assure you that you're going to get heaps of spikes out or whatever, even though it only has stealth rocks. But rapid spin is a great use, just because it gets rid of all things on the field. You might want to do that if you want to play a bit defensively. Next we have Megas, or Mega, because we only have 1. It's the only one that withstands hail because it's ice type. Pretty much it has the ability, I can't remember what it's called. It's Refrigerate when it goes Mega, which makes normal type attacks become ice type, so you will end up having a 120 base power double edge with stab because it's ice type. It's very good. Always suggest having a Mega on your team just so you can get that bit of advantage. It works really well, even though it's the only one. Next up we have our physical sweepers, starting off with Cloyster. It's Focus Sash, keeping it alive for an extra turn. With the ability Skill Link and its decent speed, it's not very high but it can outspeed a lot. It should be able to get the Skill Link ability off twice, which what this does is this Pokemon's multi-hit attacks always hit the maximum number of times. So Icicle Spear and Rock Blast always hit the maximum amount of times, which is 5 times each at 25 base power. That is a 125 base power ice type stab attack, so that would raise it even more, and 125 base power rock type attack. Shell Smash lowers its defense and special defense by 1, but raises its attack and special defense and speed by 2. Very risky, just because you're lowering your defenses, but with the focus sash you get at least 1 off, and if speed being raised by 2, it's going to be insanely fast. And Ice Shard, just a priority stab move. Next we have Weavile Knockoff, which is 1.5 times damage if the foe holds an item, removes the item, but since it's a dark type it's pretty much 2 times damage, that would make it a 130 base power stab move. Well, 130 base power because it's stab. And then Icicle Crash, 30% chance to flinch the target, very good just because it's stab as well. Ice Shard usually gets first priority ice type move, very good for revenge kills. And Low Kick, more power the heavier the target, so if you're fighting say a Celesteela, that low kick's going to do a whole lot. And because it's super fast and has very high attack, you're going to be able to take out a whole lot with Weavile. Next we have one of my favorites in this whole guide is Licky. I actually like it just because of the movie that it was in. That's about it. I believe it's the Darkrai one. We have Swords Dance, which raises its attack by 2. It with its low speed, it's kind of risky doing that just because you're not going to get that off first. You probably get hit, use Swords Dance, and then get hit again, and then faint. But if you manage to get it off, return is going to do a whole lot. With Swords Dance, it's going to do a whole lot. With Knockoff, it's same as before, 1.5 times damage if the foe holds an item and removes the item, and Earthquake. It's very good for type coverage if the enemy has a fire type Pokemon, especially with its ability Cloud 9. While this Pokemon is active, the effect of weather conditions are disabled. It's not 100% disabled, it still affects the enemy, it just doesn't affect the Pokemon that has this ability. At least that's what I've experienced in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Next we have Mamoswine, which is very good. It's decently fast, but its attack is almost at 400, which is insanely good, especially with its ability Thick Fat. It makes it more defensive. Fire, Ice type moves against this Pokemon deal damage with half the attacking stat. So a Thunder, I believe, is 100. Wait, no, that's not going to work. Fire Blast, I believe, is 100 or 120 base power. That's only going to do like 50 or 60 base power out of the whole thing. Ice Shard is stab priority move. Earthquake, stab 100 power move, which is very good. Icicle Crash, 30% chance to flinch the target. It's pretty much like Weavile, except instead of Knockoff, we have Superpower, and then we also have Earthquake for a stab move. But Superpower lowers the user's attack and defense by 1. It's very powerful, but I only suggest using that if you're going to switch out next turn, or you're going to faint next turn. Next we have kommo-o, which was also used in the last guide. It has Overcoat, which this Pokemon is immune to powder moves and damage from Sandstorm or Hail. It has Swords Dance to raise its attack even more, Dragon Claw for stab attack, Sky Uppercut for another stab attack. It's very good just because it's stab, and also it hits Pokemon that are using Bounce, Fly, or Sky Drop. Poison Jab just to see if you can get the 30% chance to poison the target. And its attack is quite high, its speed is decent, but its attack is very high at 350. Next we have Escavalier with its Assault Vest. It raises its special defense a whole lot, which is by 1.5 times, which would make that 105. That would make it maybe around 157-ish altogether. And it has the ability Overcoat, which is immune to powder moves and damage from Sandstorm or Hail. With Mega Horn, it's a very powerful bug type stab attack, but with kind of low accuracy. Iron Head, pretty much almost the inverse. So it's a power 120, Iron Head accuracy 100, and then 85 to 80 power. It's not really, but it's close. Pretty much another stab with a 30% chance to flinch the target. Pursuit, in case the enemy's going to switch out, you can hit them real quick. Knockoff, pretty much Knockoff is very good in competitive just because it removes the enemy's item. The only problem with this one is it's very slow. Even with this build, it only has just under 100, but its attack is very high at almost 400. I believe if you lower the speed, you might be able to get it to 400. Yes, 405. You could do that, and its HP is fairly decent as well. And onto the next group of physical sweepers. This is where we get into some cool stuff. Because the new ability Slush Rush, if Hail is active, this Pokemon's speed is doubled and is immune to Hail, though all of these are already immune to Hail because of the Ice type. But I'm gonna leave the most exciting one, which I love, which is Beartic, until last. So let's move him to the bottom. And let's get into Sandslash. Swords Dance, raise its attack. With Slush Rush, you can get that off fairly quickly. That's a 502 speed just from this build at max speed. So you're going to get that off without any problem. Ice will Crash, 30% chance to flinch the target. With Swords Dance, it's going to be insane. Iron Head also does the same thing, just higher accuracy and a tiny bit less power, but it's a stab attack. With Swords Dance, it's going to be insane. And Earthquake for a bit of type coverage. Next, we have Silverly, which is Ice type if you give it the Ice type memory. But what this is going to do is Swords Dance, heaps of attack, pretty much. It's got almost 300 at 289, just under 290, and very high HP and attack. So if you can get that Swords Dance off, it's going to do even more. Pretty much Double Edge is very good with its Life Orb that it's holding, except it's got 33% recoil. I'm not sure exactly if that's of 33% of the attack or 33% of your health. If it's of the attack, you're going to be screwed because you're going to be OHKOing a whole lot. So it's very much, I'm going to think maybe you can get two hits in with it if you OHKO and hit first. Next we have Crunch, 20% chance to lower the target's defense by 1, very good to lower the enemy's stats. And we have Flame Charge, which is base power of 50 but 100% chance to raise the user's speed by 1. It is very good for type coverage against Steel types because it's a Fire type, and Ice I believe is weak against Steel, but Steel is weak against Fire. So let's move on to my other favorite of this guide, is Beartic. This Pokemon is going to be insane with Slush Rush. Look at its speed, just under 200 at 199. With Slush Rush, it's going to go up to just under 400 with 398. But its attack is just under 400, so it's going to have just under 400 speed and 400 attack. That is going to be insane with its Stab, Icicle, Crash, which is 30% chance to flinch the target. Power Up Punch if you want it, 100% chance to raise the user's attack by 1, even more attack. Especially if you're going up against like another Ice type, it's very good because it's super effective against Ice because it's fighting, and you get the extra attack. Next we have Priority Water type move in case you encounter a Fire type maybe, and Swords Dance to raise your attack even more if you want to get that off. But remember, Ice types are pretty frail with low defensives like this. But that's it for the physical sweepers. Let's move on to the special sweepers. This one I highly suggest having, Golduck. It's you can get off a Rain Dance if you don't want to use Cloud 9. You can risk a turn of getting hit by Hail and then using Swift Swim, but I don't suggest that. Probably switch Rain Dance for something else. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But you can use Hydro Pump for Stab, 110 base power but only 80 accuracy. You can use Ice Beam, 10% chance to freeze the target, sticking with the Hail theme. And Psyshock, damages the target based on defense, not special defense. So if you're going up against a specially defensive Pokemon, use this because it's going to be based on its defense and not specially defense. The water type attacks of Hydro Bump is very good if the enemy has a Fire type, taking out all of your other Ice type Pokemon. Next we have Altaria, which has Draco Meteor, lowers the user's special attack by 2. I don't suggest using attacks that lower your special attack or any stat really, unless you're going to faint the next turn or switch out the next turn. Fire Blast is good coverage up against Steel types. Roost to heal, it's a bit of a tanky Pokemon, so you can probably heal with special defense like that, it's decent. And Toxic, you can probably Roost and Toxic. And if you want, I believe you can learn Protect. You can also run Protect, Roost back and forth after a Toxic, and you can Toxic stall it out. but you might want to build more of a defensive stats there. Next we have Kyurem Black, that is. I'm not very for using legendaries just because they're so powerful all the time, but Kyurem does do very well in Hail teams with its Stab Ice Beam, 10% chance to freeze the target, and then Earth Power, also 10% chance to lower this target's special defense by 1, very good. This here, Fusion Bolt, doubles power if used after Fusion Flare. We don't have Fusion Flare, but that is 100 base power electric type attack. That is very good, and with the addition of Roost, it can actually heal up very well. So its stats are actually quite high, with its special attack at 372 and its speed at almost 300. So it can hit really hard and really fast, but its special attack and its attack are both very high. You could probably maybe even lower special attack and go into an all-out attacker. Let's get rid of that and go plus there, and oops, let's go for special defense, and then special attack will go minus. So we have almost 500 attack and then decent enough speed. Maybe we could even lower that and heighten that just to get that speed past 300. That would be an insane combo, especially with Fusion Bolt being a physical. You might want to switch out Ice Beam and Earth Power for maybe Earthquake. Can't let Earthquake, so never mind, but that Fusion Bolt will do a whole lot of damage with that set that I just made there. Next we have Jinx, which is Stab Ice Beam, Lovely Kiss, which puts the target to sleep. Very good, having the opponent asleep, just because you can get damage off while they're not looking, or while they're sleeping, really. But damages the base on defense, not special defense. Side Shock, just like before. It's very good if you're going up against a special defensive wall or tank or Stoller or whatever. Focus Blast, 10% chance to lower the target special defense by 1. It's very good, but it has low accuracy, and its speed and special attack are very good. Articuno is also very good, even though I don't suggest using legendaries. This one isn't as used in the end game, or at least competitive. I haven't seen it around very much, but its stats almost 300 speed with almost 300 special attack is very good. If you can get a substitute, you can negate maybe a fire type attack and then use Roost to get the health back if substitute is still up. Hurricane for stab, 110 base power, 70 accuracy, 30% chance to confuse the target. Can't miss in rain. We're not using a rain team, but you know, that's just a suggestion. It can't miss in rain. It's going to be very good. And Ice Beam, 10% chance to freeze the target with a stab, 90 base power with 100% accuracy. Last but not least, in the special attackers, we have Alakazam, which is very good because of its Magic Guard ability. This Pokemon can only be damaged by direct attacks, which also includes, which doesn't include weather, so it's not going to be hit by by hail. We do not want the Alakazite. I'm just going to put a Focus Sash on there, just because it's got low HP and low defenses. But Magic Guard, this is a very good sweeper with 370 speed and just under 370 special attack. This Psychic Stab is going to do a whole lot. Shadow Ball, 20% chance to lower the special defense. The lower the target special defense by 1, always good to lower stats of the enemy. Same with Focus Blast, but with 10%, and Substitute, just so you can survive a few hits, even though your HP and defenses are low. And now we have the Stollers, one of my favorite spots to be in. Pretty much, this was huge in, I believe, Black and White endgame. Wolverine had very good, it was pretty much called Stolring because it was just so good at stalling with its Ice Body ability. What you do is you throw a Toxic out, badly poison the target, and then you protect next turn. And then leftovers and Ice Body will heal you 1/16 each, making that 1/8, which is very good. And you can alternate between Surf or Blizzard and then protect every second turn, and you will get healed up without taking any damage, which is very good. especially with such high special defense at just over 300 and 423 HP. That is very high. But I was using this one earlier and it did insanely well, especially paired with, what is it called? Beatic. That's what I was trying to remember. Next we have Avalug. If your setter does not have Rapid Spin, this is very good to have. Rapid Spin gets rid of, where is it? Freeze user from Hazard, Partial Trap and Leech Seed. It gets rid of them all. Recover for a bit of a stall. You can heal up by 50% of your max HP with Ice Body. If Hail is active, you get 1/16, and leftovers you actually get 1/8 of your health plus half. That would be 5/8 of your health in one turn, which is very good. Then we have Avalanche, power doubles if user is damaged by target. So with its slow, that is going to be 120 base power with 100% accuracy and stab. It's very good. And then we have Earthquake, just because it's a good damage dealing move. Next we have Regice with Ice Beam, which just something I want to pick up. It's not Regice, it's Regice. Otherwise it's not the Regi trio. It'll be the Reg trio. I don't know why I brought that up. It's spelled differently to the other Regis. But we have Ice Beam, Stab, 10% chance to freeze the target. Thunderbolt, very good because it can paralyze, also decent attack. Focus Blast and Thunder Wave, paralyze the target, very good. And its special defense is through the roof, over 400 at 438. So it's very high. Its HP is decent, very good Stoller. The only problem with Regice is its healing is only from leftovers and Ice Body. So yeah. Next we have Reuniclus with Magic Guards. Pokemon can only be damaged by direct attacks, just like Alakazam. It's not affected by weather and it heals itself with leftovers. Carmine raises user's special attack and special defense by 1 for that extra bit of special defense. Psyshock damages the target based on defense, not special defense, very good. Focus Blast, we've gone through all of these before, and Recover to heal heaps of HP. And last we have Clefable with Calm Mind, which we went over with Reuniclus, Moonblast, which is stab against dragons, and Self-Boiled heals the user by 50% of its max HP, and Flamethrower, which is good coverage for steel types. With the ability Magic Guard, it doesn't get hurt by weather. So those are all the Pokemon. So that's it for the Pokemon you can use. Now for the battle layouts. I don't actually have a name for them in my editing. I call them battle or team styles or whatever. But the first one is you can use one lead. These are completely optional. You can ignore them. And then 2 Hail Starters. Then your Mega, so that fills out 4, and then you get a physical or special sweeper and a Stoller, that makes 6. Another one you could do is the hardest one to do, I believe, is have a lead, have one Hail Starter, your Mega, and then a physical. So it's pretty much one of each section. This being physical sweepers being one section, even though it's split into 2. Because there was a bunch there. But another thing you could do, which you could also do with the Sandstorm build, but I didn't suggest it, but it's a bit more suggested for Hail Team just because there's less type coverage with Hail Pokemon, which is only have 3, which is your Hail Starter, not your Mega. You can actually use a different Mega, but have a Hail Starter, a physical or special sweeper, and a Stoller, because 8 turns is quite a long time in a battle. You could probably end up going through all 3 of those Pokemon that you choose, and then the Hail ends. But you can use 3 Hail Pokemon, like I suggested, just like that, or whatever it says in the text that I put on the screen. And then have 3 of whatever other Pokemon you want, preferably ones that cover up your weaknesses, like Fire, I believe Fighting, Steel. That's all I got. I can't remember. Those I know there's a 4th, but I can't remember the 4th one. I'll put that up on text as well. But those are suggested teams, and I hope you pick them. if you make a team, please comment it in the comment section below, or tell me how you improved your team, or how my tips didn't work, or I don't know, anything. If you have any tips in the comment them in the comment section below, and you might be able to help someone else out where I couldn't. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm nearing 100 subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me, so please subscribe and like this video and share it around to anyone who wants to learn how to use a hail team. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.